Hello guys, Charles here and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to do a quick analysis of Wayne Shorter's footprints. Let's get straight into it. So as usual, I'm using the current real book version, 6th edition. Plenty of other versions available online. There may be slight differences though. So if I'm saying something that's slightly different to your copy, it's not that I'm a complete lunatic, it's that we've probably got a different edition, that's all it is. So let's start as always with the key signature. So in this instance we've got 3 flats. Now remember the saying for flats, got my name in it, battle ends and down goes Charles's father. In this case we've got 3 flats, so battle ends and B flat, E flat and A flat. To work out your keys, really what you should do is play all your scales until you find the one that's got 3 flats in it. But the shortcut, which I'd be careful using, is to take the second last flat, so B flat, E flat, A flat, second last was E flat, and that tells us we're in E flat major in terms of the key signature, or C minor, which is the relative minor key. Next up, time signature, we're in 3/4 time, which means 3 quarter notes in a bar, and that quarter refers to a common bar, which is 4/4 time. So in a common bar, a quarter of a common bar is a 1-beat note, so this has 3 1-beat notes in a bar. So we start with an intro on a C minor 7 chord, and this is the bass intro. Now usually it would be just the bass playing this. It's built completely from chord tones, this. There's no additional information in the melody. It's purely a chord tone based line. It's all built on that C minor chord there. Now the head comes in and we start again with the C minor 7 chord according to the chart. But we can look at the melody as we've been talking about more recently in these videos. If we look at the melody, we can start to figure out if there's any other colours we were supposed to play. Currently, if we ignore the melody, the page says C minor 7, and our key signature says E flat major, which means we could use notes like A flat in our chord. However, we might start to discover that there's a bit of a change going on here. So let's look at the melody. We've got this. So that starts on a B flat, which is already in my chord, so nothing new there. Then we go up to a C. Again, nothing new there. But here, the next note is A natural. Now, the key signature told us that it wanted A flats. In these modal pieces of music, we can't rely on the key signature that much. It's useful as a bit of a crutch, but really the melody tells us what to play, as well as the harmony. So in this instance, we want A naturals in our scale and in our chords. Then go back up to B flat, A, G, in our chord again, then F, then D, back down to C. So if we were to take our chord tones of C, E flat, G and B flat, that's our C minor 7 chord that we're being asked to play, that gives us a good start. We could certainly do some interesting stuff with that, especially if we started adding in some bebop ornaments. However, the melody's giving us some absolute gems here, so we can add to that, first off, the A natural. Now remember, we can add these to our chord as well, so this can be a scale and a chord. That's already now a pentatonic scale. Which is an absolute beauty. And we can add that into our chord. So we have now a C minor 6, or we can have both the 6 and the 7s for a minor 13. Lovely sound. We've got an F as well, so we can add the F to this chord. And we can add it to our scale. Just adding the F to our chord gives us the pentatonic, but we can add the A as well, which is a lovely Canadorian sound there. And finally, we've got the D to add to this as well, which confirms that our scale is in fact what we call C Dorian. You don't need to know that. What you can think of is it's the notes of C minor 7 plus D, F and A. Basically a D minor triad. Do all that triadic pair stuff. So just a reminder, you really need to know those note names on the guitar. If you know your note names and the notes of chords, you've got everything you need. Well, next let's look at a couple of voicings that we could use. So we've now got all those as extra options, F, A and D on top of our C minor 7. So we can play some really nice voicings like this sort of thing. So that's B flat and E flat on the D and G string, which were already in my minor 7 chord, but then I can add the A and D on the top, so I can minor 6, 9 with the 7 as well. It's kind of got an invitation sound to it, that. Or the classic minor 11. Or we could have this kind of, what you might sometimes call a C13, like B flat over C. All these sounds available to us thanks to the melody. Next up, F minor 7. So again, this is just F, A flat, C and E flat. And there's no accidentals in the melody at this point, which means that we're technically just in E flat major still. If you know your modes, which don't worry if you don't, but if you do know your modes, that would tell us that this is an F Dorian chord because it's the second mode of E flat. But don't worry about that if you're not sure what that means. We can take exactly the same approach. We can say, well, what's my chord tones? F, A flat, C and E flat. And I'm going to say, well, what's my melody notes? Well, straight away we've got a clash. We've got a B flat. So there, all the notes we've got is B flat, C, which is already in our chord, D, which isn't in our chord, E flat, which is in our chord, D again, C, B flat, G, which isn't in our chord, and F. So we've got F minor, we could add a G to it, which would give us like an F minor 9. We could add D to it, which would give us F minor 6, 9. This voicing is lovely. This is starting on the A string, 8, 12, 8, 8, which is F, D, E flat, G. That's a beautiful Dorian chord, even if I say so myself. Or rather than the 9 on the top there, I could go F, D, E flat, B flat, which is 8, 12, 8, 11, starting on the A string. I can even add C on the top of that by barring. Back to C minor 7, same again, all the same notes. They worked before, they'll work now. And finally, the kind of footprints turnaround section here. Now this is tough. This is really tough. So first up, we've got F sharp minor 7 flat 5. So F sharp minor 7 flat 5 is F sharp, A, C, and E. We know that chord quite well. Minor 7 flat 5 chord. And very common on these chords, like the start of Stella, the start of I Love You. Footprints here is to play the 4th degree on that, and that's what happens here. We get B natural on top of that, so we've gone from F sharp A C E, which is an arpeggio, to F sharp A B C E, which is a pentatonic scale. So you see, once again, all we needed was that melody note. We looked at the melody and the chord degrees and added them together. And that's all we need. I mean, what more could you possibly want? That's more than enough for McCoy. McCoy would absolutely destroy that pentatonic scale. And so that's what we want to work on that particular chord. Next up, F7 sharp 11. So F7 sharp 11, let's go through those notes. Well, F7 is F, A, C, E flat. Now this says sharp 11 rather than flat 5. The distinction there to me is sharp 11 is adding a note as well as the 5th that's in the chord, and flat 5 is taking the 5th of that chord. So in this instance that would be taking the note C and flattening it, replacing it with a flat. So this is adding the sharp 11 as well as the 5th. So that gives us F, A, B, C, E flat. Now, if we look at the melody here, we've got B, D, and G, which happens to make a G major triad. So what you can do is you could do triad pairs on this. You go F, A, C, G, B, D. And that's going to work really nicely over this. However, let's take the same approach and add them to our chord. So we've got F, then a G from the melody, A from the chord, B from both the melody and the chord, I've got a sharp 11, C from the chord, D from the melody, E flat from the chord, back to F. That gives us this scale. Now again, you don't need to know what that scale is called. If you do, you probably recognise it's a mode of the melodic minor. We call this the Lydian dominant. There's some other names for it as well. But you don't need to know that. You just need to know the notes. And the notes are F, A, B, C, E flat, which come from the chord, and G and D, which are added to that from the melody. There's B in the melody as well, but it's already acknowledged in the chord. Next, E7 flat 5, sharp 9. So this one's a flat 5 rather than a sharp 11. Now, what that means, again, is that this is instead of the 5th. In an E chord, we'd normally have a B. Instead, we're going to use a B flat. So the chords here, the chord tones are E, G sharp, B flat or A sharp, and D. Then we've got a sharp 9 here as well, which in this case is going to be technically an F double sharp. We call that a G in day-to-day terminology. So that gives us this: E, G, G sharp, B flat, D, E. So again, that's a pentatonic scale and a really cool sounding one. It's basically a dominant pentatonic with a flat 5 instead. Really great sound there. Again, that's all you need. Technically, you could fill in some more notes there if you want to. If you're watching this and you know how to do that, then by all means do that. But again, I just want people to get in the habit of looking at what the page is telling you to do and just learning to master that. You'll learn some really incredible, interesting scales if you just listen to the page. Nothing new in the melody there, it's just a B flat. That's already in the chord. Okay, and finally, A7 flat 5, sharp 9. Let's have a little look at this. A7 flat 5, sharp 9. A, C sharp, E flat and G in our chord. Then asking to add the sharp 9 to this, which in this case would be a C natural, technically a B sharp, but so looking at the melody, we've got G, C, both in the chord already, G again, then G flat or F sharp. Now this gives us a real cool treat, whatever the word I'm looking for here is, both, a cheaty treat. And that's this shape here. It's a 3-note per string shape, which is based very much on the diminished scale. So same shape on every string, just going up a fret. So 5, 8, 9, 6, 9, 10, 7, 10, 11, 8, 11, 12, 10, 13, 14, 11, 14, 15. And finally, because you've probably noticed that A7 flat 5 sharp 9 is a 7 flat 5 sharp 9 chord, just like the bar before, we can add that same cheeky note into the E7 flat 5 sharp 9, which was quite lacking on the melody front, and use that same scale. Ooh, that's out of tune. So we just transposed that scale to E in that instance. I was cheating and using the 7 string, but you could start at the bottom of the net and go on the low E string, O, 3, 4, A string, 1, 4, 5, 2, 5, 6, 1, 6, 7, 5, 8, 9, 6, 9, 10, 8 to the top. So we've got a hexatonic scale on both of those chords, and it's just really nice sound. It's just a great sound. What a killer scale that is. And that all came from the melody, and then finally we finish on C minor 7 there with another F. We've already talked about C minor 7. Everything you did with all the C minor 7s can apply to anytime that same chord comes back later in the tune, because all we've got at this point is a single F note, but we know by now that we can use the Dorian scale on C minor 7, which you don't need to think of as Dorian, you just think of it as a C minor chord, C minor 7 chord, plus a D, F and an A. So I hope you found that one useful and you're starting to see the benefit of this approach that I keep talking about. If you'd like a bit more about this approach, then check out my last video, which was up here, my last full-length video, and that kind of breaks this theory down in even more detail. But really, it is as simple as stop worrying about scales so much. You'll get to scales, you'll get to horizontal playing, but horizontal playing can just become vertical playing plus melody equals horizontal. The extra weight of those melody notes makes the vertical notes fall over. I don't know, you know what I'm getting at. Makes them more horizontal. That's where scales are born from in terms of this approach. If you did find that one useful, please do give it a like, subscribe, ding that notification bell, and please do keep sharing with your friends or on forums or anything like that. Anything to get more eyes on the video really, really helps me out. It just keeps me motivated to keep these going, whether people enjoy them or not, you know. I'm just trying to give you the stuff that is useful for you. And like I've always said, the point of this channel is I'm trying to make stuff which I wish I had had access to when I first started playing the guitar, which was 16, 17 years ago now, maybe 18 years ago. Yes, I think about 18 years ago I started playing the guitar. So I wish I'd had these ideas available to me then. I'm sure they're out there somewhere, but I never quite tracked them down. And finally, I hope you're all doing very well, getting plenty of practice in, and I very much look forward to seeing you in the next one. Cheers!